Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Here to knock out another video for you, provide some hopefully insightful content. But anyways, today I'm going to be talking about lifting the rear end of these trucks, and it's going to be basically blocks versus shackles. What's a good option, what you should do, what you should avoid, yada yada yada. Anyways, to start, if you guys don't know, the factory leaf springs on these trucks leaves a lot to be desired. By the time you hit like 60 to 100K, if you use your truck for work and whatnot, the leaf springs are pretty flat, and especially, you know, they'll sag when you kind of put a load in the bed. Obviously, if you guys have one, you know that. And then two, once you start kind of lifting these trucks, whether you do 2, 3, 4 inches up front or whatever, you obviously kind of want to, if you want to maintain your rake, or you kind of want to level it or whatever, because you don't want the front to sit high and then the rear to sit low. So a lot of people will lift the rear, right? You know, some people will opt right away to upgrade the leaf springs, which is a great option, but it's also expensive. Or a lot of people will go the cheap route, which will be blocks, and then in the middle you kind of got shackles. Now obviously they all serve different purposes, but this is going to be my 101 on this. So blocks are real simple, they're cheap. All they do is obviously sit underneath your leaf pack and raise the rear. Over time they're going to flatten your leaf pack, and they're going to ride like shit. And the biggest thing, excuse my language, is depending on the size of the leaf block, you're going to get probably some axle wrap, because in the middle here you got your, underneath the truck, you got your carrier bearing. When you lift that, obviously the drive shaft angle into the rear end is changed, and basically when you go to take off, the rear is going to somewhat kind of wheel hop until you get up to a certain speed. So definitely avoid that, especially if you want to, increase the longevity of everything. Now, so obviously with a block, super cheap, super straightforward install. Anytime you change out the U-bolts, by the way, guys, the factory U-bolts are torque, I think they're stretch to torque or whatever it's called. You want to replace those. U-bolts are pretty cheap, 25 to 50 bucks. I got mine from Ironman, but anyone, get some off Rock Auto or whatever. But anyway, so lift blocks are cheap, but it's going to ride like shit, and it's going to flatten out your leaf springs, and you might potentially have axle wrap. The benefit with shackles, now I'm going to show you guys, I have them still for my truck. These are your factory shackles for the Tundra. They're skinny, and then this bushing here, both on the front and rear, it's actually in a fixed position, so it doesn't really allow the leaf spring to kind of articulate. It kind of just goes up and down like this. And so the benefit, the two biggest, not to jump around, but anyways, the benefit of shackles is obviously you're getting that rear lift, and you're not really degrading the ride quality. And I decided personally to go with Coachbuilder shackles. Now, Toyota Coachbuilder, there's a few others, but those are the two big ones. The advantage with the Toyota is they give you the height options because they got different bolts, right? You can do a 1 inch or a 1.5 with the same shackle. Coachbuilder sells them individually. I have +1s. They got +1, +2, +3. +1 is, I think, 0.625. +2 is, 1.2, whatever. And then +3 is 1.75. But anyways, Coachbuilder includes a poly bushing, right? And it allows the rear of the truck with the shackle to articulate. So it kind of makes for a much smoother ride. So I'm going to talk about it in another video about trying to eliminate your bed bounce. But anyways, when you do a shackle, you're going to get that added lift, but you're also going to you're not going to degrade your ride quality. If anything, you're actually going to get better ride quality. That's what I noticed, and that's what I recommend. Now, another thing to take note. A lot of guys, when they start towing, they'll add airbags, or they'll add road active suspension. Basically what that is it's kind of like a secondary tension spring that attaches in the front and then attaches to your eyelid, if you guys don't know what it is. And then there's a spring in the middle, and you can torque it or tighten it up to get added tension, so it kind of lifts the rear. I'll tell you guys, save you guys the research. If you go with Coachbuilder +1 shackles, the road active master suspension will not fit. It won't clear the eyelid to the I'll show you guys the center post of the shackles, right? But the +2 and the +3 will work if you decide to go with that. I don't have that. I just have these black knockoff Amazon Sumo springs that I recommend. They've been great. So that's one thing to keep in mind too. And then once you start going past, the question is, well, if I go too high in the rear, what's that going to do with my angle of my drive shaft and the carrier bearing? Well, what I like with Coachbuilder is they provide, I think with the +2 and the +3, and they also have other options, they provide the carrier bearing drop kit, which is very beneficial. You want to do that once you start getting about, I think right around 1.5+ inches of lift. You want to start dropping that carrier bearing so you don't have any issues. So that's included with the Coachbuilder. I'm not sponsored or paid by them. It's just after doing a bunch of research, that's what I decided to do. Another con though with the Coachbuilder is if you have an oversized spare tire, right? I was able to get a 33-inch tire underneath there. I probably won't be able to go up to a 34, or if I ever go to a 35, highly likely I ever will. But a 34, the Coachbuilder shackles are much beefier than the factory shackles, much thicker, and then they have a center support stack right there. It's really tight. I got maybe about 2-3 millimeters of space on each side between those shackles right now. You'd probably have to cut the spare tire support, which is kind of more towards the front of the truck, to get a larger size spare to fit. That's not an issue for me right now, but I'm just being transparent because I like to kind of speak about the details. So kind of to sum it up, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you watching. Blocks are cheap. If you currently have blocks on your truck, I would look into kind of spending the money to get some quality shackles. I think Coachbuilders are right around $300. Toyotex are about the same. If you do go with Toyotex, make sure you get the poly bushing. That's a big thing. You really want your leaf spring to articulate. It makes for a much smoother ride. If you haven't felt it yet and you do that, you're gonna be like, wow, the rear end basically kind of feels like it's just like smooth, like a wave, like, you know, you're on a boat and it's just like super smooth and wavy. That's the best way to describe it. But anyways, so yeah, blocks, cheap, obviously. You're gonna get the potential axle wrap, and you're gonna flatten your leaves. Higher shackles too, over time will flatten the leaves as well, but you're not gonna degrade your ride quality. And for the price difference, blocks are like $100 or whatever. Shackles generally, like I said, 300-ish bucks. Save up, spend the money, the extra money for the shackles. It'll be well worth it, and your Tundra's gonna ride a lot nicer. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this kind of clears up anything if you're on the fence of what you want to do for the rear end of your truck to lift it. Keep in mind too, when you're upgrading leaf springs as well, and you have shackles present, or you're also going to do shackles, keep in mind always, guys, the angle of the drive shaft into the rear end and your carrier bearing, because eventually you'll wear out the carrier bearing too, and that's not necessarily a big job, but you want to be cautious about it. So hopefully you guys have a good rest of your week. Take care. Comment, like, subscribe. I try to respond to everybody. I think I do. Can only sustain it for so long, right? I just passed 1,600 some subscribers. I appreciate everybody watching and all the comments and stuff. Have a good week and stay tuned to the next video. Take care.